In my last video, I asked you to tell me the number of chickens and the breed you wanted me to do a full budget breakdown for. I went through the comments, and while there were many different requests, 500 layers stood out and took the lead. So today we're going to sit down together and go step by step through the budget breakdown for raising 500 layers, starting from day 1 all the way to week 20, when they are old enough to start covering their daily costs through egg production. Before we jump into the numbers, I want to make something clear. You'll notice that I'm using US dollars instead of my local currency. The reason is simple. US dollars give us a common ground. No matter where you're watching from, you can easily convert it into your own currency and get a clear picture without any confusion. Think of the US dollar as our neutral measuring stick. This breakdown isn't just about 500 birds. I want you to follow the process carefully, because once you understand the steps, you'll be able to calculate your own budget, whether you want to start with 100 birds, 200, or even 1,000. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to structure your costs and prepare yourself before bringing in your flock. So let's start walking through this budget together. The very first thing to think about when starting a poultry project is land. For 500 layers, you'll need about 1 acre or any land where you can build your chicken house and store. The exact cost depends on your location. Some of you may already have land available, which reduces your starting cost. If you don't, you'll need to factor in the cost, which can vary widely. You will add the cost of land to the total at the end, along with the cost of housing and other equipment. Once land is sorted, the next big investment is housing. For 500 birds, you'll need a poultry house of about 100 square meters, 14.5 meters in length and 7 meters in width. The cost depends on the materials you use and the prices in your area. Some people use bricks, some use wood, and others may use iron sheets. The important thing is to make sure the house is well ventilated and secure. You'll get the estimated cost based on your location and add it to the total. Fencing is optional, but it's always a good idea if you want to control movement around the poultry house and keep predators away. The cost will vary depending on the type of fence you choose. Now let's move on to the smaller but essential items you'll need to keep your flock healthy and productive. Bedding material is one of them. For the first 20 weeks, about 10 sacks of wood shavings will be enough, and that costs around $10. Bedding keeps the birds comfortable, helps absorb moisture, and makes cleaning much easier. Lighting is also very important, especially during brooding and later to help the layers maintain good laying cycles. In this budget, we're planning for a 50-watt solar system with a battery and bulbs, which cost about $72. Of course, if you have reliable electricity, you can use that instead. For feeding, you'll need the right equipment. With 500 birds, you'll need 20 feeders, one for every 25 chickens, which comes to $60. For water, you'll need 10 drinkers, one for every 50 chickens, adding another $30. Nesting boxes are essential when the birds start laying eggs. For 500 layers, we plan for 100 nesting boxes, one for every 5 birds, using plywood, which costs about $100. During brooding, a heat source is important. In this plan, we're using 5 pots for charcoal at $3 each, totaling $15. To collect and store eggs properly, you'll also need egg trays. For this plan, we're using 120 trays at 14 cents each, which adds up to $17. To keep chicks warm in the early days, charcoal is also required. 5 sacks will be enough for this stage, costing around $70. For water management, you can include a 200-liter water tank, which is optional but helpful, costing $28. Vaccines, medicines, and disinfectants are essential for keeping your birds healthy, and we've allocated $60 for them. Record keeping is important in poultry farming, so we've also included a simple notebook for $2. These smaller costs may seem minor compared to feed, but they are essential for the health, comfort, and productivity of your birds. Getting these items right sets you up for a smooth and successful start with your flock. Now let's talk about the biggest cost in poultry farming, which is feed. If you've ever raised chickens, you know they eat a lot, and the quality of their feed directly affects their growth, health, and egg production. That's why feed takes up the largest portion of our budget for 500 layers. From day 1 up to week 20, the birds go through 3 main stages of feed. The first stage is the starter feed, which they eat from the moment they arrive until about week 4. Some people extend this stage to week 8, and both approaches work. For 500 chicks, you'll need about 311 kilograms of starter feed. At 60 cents per kilogram, this comes to $187. Starter feed is crucial because it lays the foundation for strong growth and healthy development. After the starter stage, we move into the grower feed, covering week 5 to week 18. This is the longest stage before they start laying. During this period, the birds will need about 3,168 8 kilograms of grower feed. At 50 cents per kilogram, this comes to $1,584. This stage requires the most feed because the birds are growing rapidly and need the right nutrition to reach maturity. Finally, in weeks 19 and 20, we switch to layer feed. At this point, the birds are laying eggs, so their diet changes to support egg production. For these 2 weeks, you'll need 667 kilograms of layer feed. At 50 cents per kilogram, that totals $333.50. When you add all the feed together from day 1 to week 20, you'll need about 4,146 kilograms. The total cost for all this feed is $2,104.50. Feed is the largest single expense, which is why careful planning is so important. Without proper feed, your flock cannot thrive or produce eggs on schedule. To make this easier, I use my layer feed calculator, and you'll find a download link in the description so you can plan your own feed more accurately. Beyond feed, there are a few more costs that are easy to overlook but very important. These are what I call miscellaneous costs. They cover things like transportation, moving supplies, unforeseen expenses, and small adjustments you might need along the way. For this plan, we've allocated $150 for these extra costs. It might seem small compared to feed, but having this buffer can save a lot of stress if something unexpected happens. Next, it's time to include the cost of chicks. Each layer chick costs about $1.57, so for 500 chicks, you'll spend $785. Buying healthy chicks at the start is crucial because they set the foundation for a productive flock. Now, if we take all the expenses together, the land, housing, fencing, equipment, bedding, lights, drinkers, feeders, nesting boxes, pots, trays, charcoal, water tank, vaccines, medicines, record keeping, feed, miscellaneous costs, and the chicks, you begin to see the full picture. Every element, no matter how small, contributes to ensuring your birds grow healthy and start laying eggs on time. It's important to remember that some of these costs will vary depending on your location, the prices you can get, and the materials you choose. For example, fencing and housing can cost more or less, and feed consumption may vary slightly. That's why it's always better to overestimate than underestimate. Planning this way ensures that when your birds start laying, you're already set up to cover daily costs and have a smooth operation. When we add everything up, the total budget comes to around $5,608 for raising 500 layers from day 1 to week 20. If you need to buy land or build a chicken house and fence, you'll add those costs separately. This total gives you a clear starting point so you know how much money you'll need before your birds start generating returns. The beauty of this approach is that by understanding the breakdown, you can easily scale it up or down for any number of birds you want to raise. Now that we've gone through the full budget breakdown for 500 layers, I hope you can see how all the pieces fit together. The goal here is not just to show numbers, it is to give you a method you can follow for any number of chickens, whether it's 100, 200, or even 1000. To make it easier, I'm providing a free downloadable template that you can adjust to your local prices and flock size. To give you an idea of potential returns, we will use my tool, the Poultry Pro Planner. This planner calculates profit automatically and shows exactly what to expect from your flock before you even start. Here's how it works practically. You tell the tool the number of birds, so in this case, 500. You enter the prices for feed, starter mash at 60 cents per kilogram, grower mash at 50 cents, and layer mash at 50 cents. Then you add the cost per chick, which is $1.57 per bird, and the price per egg tray, which is $3.44. Labor costs for this flock are zero because one person can manage 500 birds. Finally, you include miscellaneous costs such as vaccines, medicines, disinfectants, transport, charcoal, and other small costs for running a single flock, which comes to about $125 per month. It's important to note that this calculation focuses only on the costs of running a single flock from day 1 to week 80. It does not include equipment or long-term assets like feeders, drinkers, solar systems, land, chicken house, or fencing, since these can be used for multiple flocks over the years. Once all the numbers are entered, the planner automatically calculates total revenue, expenses, and profit. For this batch of 500 layers, it estimates a profit of around $4,545 from point of lay to week 80, which is about a 26% profit margin. Feed is the largest cost, so So even small savings here make a big difference. You can reduce feed costs by buying bulk ingredients like maize when prices are low, or by mixing your own feed using locally available ingredients, though this requires the right knowledge. If you want to learn more about mixing your own feed, check out the next video linked on your screen. Download the free budget breakdown using the link in the description and use it as a guide. You can also download the Poultry Pro Planner to see exactly how your flock will perform, what your costs will be, and the profit you can expect. This way, you'll have full control and clarity before you start raising your birds. I hope this video has been helpful. If it has, don't forget to like, comment, and share so more people can learn how to plan their poultry projects properly. Thank you for following along on this budget breakdown journey, and I can't wait to see how your own flocks grow and thrive.